Travis Wayne Goodsill. The hour-long video I just did is at 22%, so it's got a ways to save before I then upload it to YouTube. So I'll do this other video as it's 2 in the morning, 2 hours away from when I go running and 3 hours from eating. Alright, so I'll do this video. The Church of Jesus Christ is a criminal organization. If you haven't been paying attention to any of my videos, which YouTube says you haven't, this is the first video you've come to of mine, according to the stats, the analytic stats, because you typed in certain keywords and my video showed up as a result. So understand, this is not my first rodeo. I have other videos. You need to know my other videos and the content contained therein before you start making your final judgment opinions. That tends to be a problem in our society as of late, not just in Mormondom. Too much hasty judgments going on. Quick to judge. As everybody's already picked their sides, regardless of the lack of investigation into the side that they're choosing. But anyway, I'm sure you've heard about lawsuit back in the 80s where a corporation that employed a lot of people used the argument in their court case that, Your Honor, we can't be shut down, we employ too many people. They would lose their jobs. The judge did not recognize it as an extortion threat, which it was. If a criminal organization commits crimes, they need to stop. If that means shutting down the business because the business is one continual criminal organization, it needs to be shut down. The people who work for such a company should not be working for such a company because they are participating in the criminal activities of the company. Nevertheless, corporations are allowed to continue to thrive after they've committed a crime. Just look at tobacco industry, for example. They're murdering people, but they're still allowed to continue to exist. They destroyed the whistleblower's life, and they still continue to exist and thrive. And so we come to the Mormon Church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is using religion as a front for their criminal activity. And if you don't understand that concept of how criminal organizations work and operate, this is news for you. And the church purposely does that to Mormons, saying, don't watch R-rated movies, stay away from the entertainment of the world, fake news, evil, anti-Mormon, anti-Christ. And so Mormons live in fear as they're confused as to how much of the world should they be exposed to. And I, as a rebel, and church isn't going to tell me what to do. If I want to learn something, I'm going to go learn it. If there's an R-rated movie that has something that I need to find out, I'm gonna go and find out. And so yes, I know all about criminal organizations as a result, because of the movies I've seen. And that's how I was able to recognize what the church has been doing to me my whole life when I filed the lawsuit. Because at first, even though it included my false arrest, I didn't really have a supportive connection of the church causing it. The church was involved in the lawsuit, as they were one of the counts against me, but it was not until the court got going that I found that the church had actually been paying the person who had me disappeared. I didn't go to trial, but I was locked up, disappeared from society for 6 years of my life. And so that was included, and I knew from the criminal movies and entertainment that I watch that the church is also involved in other criminal activities. Tithing, for example. You guys have only heard about the 100 billion tithing scandal, where they take a portion of the tithing donations and funnel it into an investment. And the whistleblower came forward and says, yeah, that's what the church is doing. They're not paying charity as the Articles of Incorporation require them to do for this Ensign Peak Associates. And everybody misses the fact that tithing is not a donation. It's required in order to participate in the religious rituals. And nobody sees that as a crime. People recognize Tony Soprano with his sanitation department making a little extra from the businesses as part of the protection racket. But nobody recognizes the exact same behavior from the church with tithing. Because it's a religion. Oh, First Amendment says freedom of religion, therefore I guess we can't touch the church. We have to allow them to continue to exist as a criminal organization. There's nothing we can do. That's God's church. Oh my God. But it gets worse, because the state of Utah is run, owned, and operated by the church. They have businesses. And those businesses employ people. And they employ them for the minimum wage, because they're not going any higher, and they're not allowed to go any lower. That's why they go over to the Philippines and have child sweatshops. Literally. I've done that video. I know all about the church and what they're doing criminally. But I can see that argument in my lawsuit, as the church is going to have to respond now because they've been served. I can see them arguing, Your Honor, the request for relief is unreasonable. If he shuts down the church, there will be thousands of people who go unemployed. It'll ruin the economy. It'll crash the stock market. And it will. All those things. People will lose their jobs. People will, it will financially hurt Utah. It will financially hurt the United States. It will financially ruin the stock market. Because the church invests and hires and controls the economy because of their wealth. I can see that argument being presented. But again, it's a false argument, because they're claiming to the courts, we're extorting you, judges. If you close us down, we will retaliate with punishments to the economy, to the lives of those who we've employed in our criminal operation. That's what's going on when they do that, when they make that kind of an argument. And so just remember that. As my lawsuit goes forward, as Mormons will want to blame me for the church's crimes. As Dick Ballard, my supervisor, one of my supervisors while I worked for the church at one point in time, he said, sometimes being too good at your job can have repercussions. He was referring to my redesign of the Beehive warehouse. I had designed it so well that before we had a crew of 7 that, despite working all day, needed to work a Saturday to get caught up on the backload. So we had to work overtime with 7 people. My redesign was so superior to what the church's system was using that it only requires 2 people and 4 hours. That's it. That's how superior my alterations were. And that freaked out the other employees as they realized we could lose our jobs. No, the church doesn't fire anybody unless you do something really severe, or don't get your temple recommend renewed. They were actually using that as a way to try to get people out of employment. I think they thought I was going to lose my temple recommend somehow. I don't understand. But anyway, they were just transferred elsewhere in the company. But they were used to their job. They were comfortable. And so all of a sudden it was being threatened. And they were blaming me. And the human factor then kicked in as they purposely slowed down their performance to have work throughout the rest of the day. But again, like I said, it only took 2 people. So yes, there was a lot of extra people who didn't need to be there. That's how good my designs are. Or it's how bad the church is being run, which I think is the more likely scenario. And so, expect that kind of a reply in the courts when they have to respond by the 30th of March at midnight.